Hey guys, welcome to my channel Make RTO MVI, and in this video we are going to talk about industrial electronics subject, and we are going to talk about previous year RTO MVI question asked in 2005 examination, and we will be doing syllabus discussion for this industrial electronics. So as we know, for industrial electronics the first chapter that is asked in RTO MVI examination is your diode. The second chapter is your UJT BJT. The third chapter is your amplifier, and the fourth chapter is your microprocessor. And the question distribution for your these topics is 3 questions from diode, 3 questions from UJT BJT, 2 questions from amplifier, and 2 questions for a microprocessor. So total 10 questions are asked in your RTO MVI examination, and these questions will be asked for your 20 marks, right? So let's get started. Now the first question, the function of a commutator in a DC machine is. So options are to prevent sparking, to reduce iron losses, to reduce friction, to change alternating voltage to direct voltage. So here the correct answer is to change alternating voltage to direct voltage. So as you can see, function of a commutator is to change polarity to winding, that is change alternating current or voltage to a direct voltage. That is the basically function of commutator in a DC machine. So as you can see here, this is a the schematic diagram of a commutator. So this is basically an alternator. It is rotating, and there is a bush, there is a commutator segment, and this is for a direct current, this is for a alternating current, right? So as you can see here, it is in between north and south pole magnetic poles, right? So the commutator in a DC machine, or more specifically commutation in a DC generator, is a process in which generated alternating current in a armature winding of a DC machine is converted into direct current after going through the commutator and the stationary bushes, right? So basically not only current but voltage also is getting converted, right? Alternating voltage to direct voltage, that is alternating current to direct current. Basically it is talking about current, right? So this commutator is used for converting alternating current to a direct current in a DC machine. So the correct answer is 4. Now moving on to the next question. The function of the starter in a DC machine is. Options are to control speed, to avoid excessive heating, to avoid excessive current at a starting, to avoid armature reaction. So here the please I am repeating the question. The function of a starter in a DC machine. So why we use starter in a DC machine? So here the correct answer is to avoid excessive current at the starting, right? So here we are going to see the explanation. Starter are used to protect DC motors, right, from damage, and that's why because it can be caused by very heavy current or torque during the startup, right? So this is basically the reason, because during the start there can be a very high current or a torque that is given to the DC motor, and it could lead to a damage. That's why starter is provided. So what they do basically, so they do this by providing external resistance to the motor. So starter provide external resistance to your motor, which is connected in series to a motor's armature winding and restricts the current to an acceptable level. So basically as you can see here, it is a starter, and here it is your DC machine, and this is your starter, right? So what starter does is it controls the high current or a torque by providing external resistance, right? So moving on to our next question. When B is a flux density in Weber per meter square, I is a current in amperes, L is the length in meters, current carrying conductor in a magnetic field is subject to a mechanical force Newton given by. Options are this, F is equals to, these are the options, right? So this question is basically asking is what, there is a conductor, right? There is a conductor which is conducting, and because of this conductor there is a magnetic field is getting generated around this conductor, which is so for that magnetic field it is given that the flux density is in Weber per meter square, right? So it will generate some magnetic field, so it has a flux density that is B, right? Now the conductor will be carrying certain current, that is I, right? And it has certain length. This is the length of the conductor. So what kind of a force is experienced by this conductor, right? That is what this simple question is asking. So as you know, force experienced by the conductor will be the product of all the three, right? That is your magnetic flux, which is flux density Weber per meter square, the length of the conductor, and the current passing through that conductor. So basically it will be the product of all the three. So here the correct answer is 3, right? Now moving on to the next question. In a half wave rectifier, the ripple factor is, so in a half wave rectifier options are 0.482, 1.020, 1.210, and the fourth is 1.410. Now here the correct answer is 1.210, right? So we are going to see what are the ripple factor for different rectifiers, that is half wave, full wave rectifiers, right? So as you can see here, this is a circuit diagram for half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier, and a bridge, right? So as you can see here, in half wave rectifier the ripple factor represented by gamma is 1.21, but in full wave it is 0.82, right? So in bridge also it is 0.482, right? So here the correct answer would be, in a half wave rectifier the ripple factor is 1.21, right? So this answer C is the correct answer, right? So guys, remember for full wave rectifier, so this time it can be asked like, in full wave rectifier what is the ripple factor? So correct answer would be 0.482, and for bridge also it is same, so it is easy to remember, right? So as we can see that there are different parameters which are very important from your RTO examination point of view. So let's see like what is the ripple frequency of your half wave or full wave rectifier. So for half wave rectifier ripple frequency is 50 Hz, for full wave it is 100 Hz, for bridge it is 100 Hz, right? What is TVUF for your half wave rectifier? It is 0.287, for full wave rectifier it is 0.693, and for your bridge it is 0.812, right? So these are the parameters, respective parameter for respective circuits, right? So here also there is a maximum rectifier efficiency, right? Maximum rectifier efficiency for full wave rectifier, for half wave rectifier is 40.6%, and for full wave rectifier it is 81.2%. for bridge also it is same, 81.2%, right? So moving on to the next question. Thin middle layers of the transistor is called as, options are emitter, collector, base, and none of the above. So basically if you know the diagram of PN junction diode, it is a transistor, right? Not a PN junction diode. Transistor is basically three PN junctions connected to each other, right? So if you consider PNP transistor, so this will be the base region, right? So base is a very thin middle layer of the transistor, so the correct answer would be 3, right? Now moving on to the next question. An addition of impurity atom to pure semiconductor makes it. So basically the options are intrinsic semiconductor, extrinsic semiconductor, diffuse semiconductor, all of the above. So if you add impurity to a pure semiconductor, it will be an extrinsic semiconductor. The correct answer would be 2. So if you know the classification or a nomenclature of a semiconductor, semiconductors are classified basically based on two, that is intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductors are basically pure semiconductors, so there is no impurity added in that semiconductor, but extrinsic semiconductors are basically there is a impurity added to the semiconductors. As you can see here, type of semiconductor, intrinsic semiconductor, which is also called as pure semiconductor, extrinsic semiconductor, which is also called as impure semiconductor. If impurity is added to pure semiconductor, it is extrinsic, right? So here the correct answer is 2, extrinsic semiconductor. Moving on to next question. The electron lengths of a CRO consist of, options are grid and cathode, shield and grid, cathode and filament, focusing electrode. So here the correct answer is focusing electrode. So if it is a very complex question, you have to know what CRO is, and you have to know basically the diagram of the CRO, then only you will be able to find out the answer here. Very difficult question. So as you can see here in the diagram, as you can see here, this is a grid, this is a cathode, right? So the question is asking the electron lengths of a CRO consists of. Basically these are the lenses, these are here the lenses, right? So it is consists of focusing electrode, right? As you can see here, it is consisting of focusing electrode. So the option number 4 is the right answer, right? Now moving on to the next question. The thermistor are semiconductor devices having, so options are positive temperature coefficient resistance, negative temperature coefficient resistance, both 1 and 2, zero temperature coefficient resistance. So as you have learned that if we increase the temperature, some semiconductors, as we increase the temperature, the resistance of that semiconductor decreases, right? So there is a decrease, there is basically decrease in the resistance. That's why it is called as negative temperature coefficient resistance, right? So here the correct answer would be this, negative temperature coefficient resistance, right? So thermistors are semiconductor devices having negative temperature coefficient of resistance, means when temperature increases, resistance decreases, right? And vice versa, right? So the correct answer would be negative temperature coefficient resistors, right? Now moving on to the next question. For proper working of a transistor in a normal circuit, the emitter base junction and a collector base junctions are respectively, options are reverse biased and forward biased, forward biased and forward biased, forward biased and reverse biased, reverse biased and forward biased. So for proper working of a transistor, it is asking in a normal circuit, so the junction should be in a forward biased and a reverse biased, right? So the correct answer is 3, forward bias and reverse bias. So as you can see here, I'll just give you the classification, broad classification, which is very important from your RTO examination perspective, right? So this is your broader classification, right? So this is mode, this is emitter base junction, collector junction, and this is application, right? So guys, just see the classification and you will be solving these types of question very easily, right? So mode, for saturation, for cutoff region, for active region, right? So for saturation, cutoff and active region, we will be seeing what kind of a forward bias or reverse bias is used and what are the application of this junctions, right, for a proper working. For emitter base junction, so it is forward biased, right? It is forward bias. This is also forward bias. This is reverse bias. This is reverse bias. This is forward bias. This is reverse bias. Right. So application: full current flow. Full current flow. This is no current flow. No current flow, and this is amplifier, right? So as you can see here, for mode to be active, right, for proper working of a transistor in a normal circuit, it is connected in forward bias and reverse bias, collector junction in reverse bias, emitter and base junction in forward bias, right? So this is what your question was asking: emitter base junction and collector junction, what are its regions of operation, right? So moving on to the next question. Commercially available electronic fan regulator make use of, options are single SCR, triac and diac, triac, anti-parallel connected to SCR. So it is basically asking fan regulators what kind of a triac or diac circuit they make use of to control the speed or the alternating current. So here the correct answer would be option 2, that is triac and diac. So both, they use basically both, right? So as you can see here, diac is a two junction bidirectional semiconductor device designed to break down when AC voltage across it exceeds a certain level, passing current in either direction, right? So sometimes you see the failure of your regulator, fan regulator, because of there is a exceed in the voltage or a current level. That is basically the function of a diac, right? So there is a diac, and after that diac there is a triac is also basically installed, right? So what is the function of a triac? So the term triac stands for triode for alternating current, as suggested by its name. This electronic component is commonly used as a control element in alternating current circuits. So basically what it does is it controls the alternating current, right? And triac are semiconductor device that feature 3 terminals, right? So basically these both are used in a fan regulator. First there will be diac installed, and then there will be triac installed, right? So the correct answer is 2, triac and diac. Now moving on to next question. Identify the transistor circuit which acts as a phase inverter. Options are common base, common collector, common emitter, both common base and common collector. So here the correct answer is common emitter, right? So phase inversion. So basically what does this question means, right? What is this phase inversion? So phase inversion is basically there is a phase shift of 180 degree between input and output signal, right? So that is what phase inversion means. So as you can see here, sorry guys, so as you can see here, so the question is identify the transistor circuit which acts as a phase inverter, right? So options are common base, common emitter, common collector, both common base and common collector. So here the correct answer is common emitter. Now you can see for common emitter, the input and output are out of phase by 180 degree, that is inverting amplifier, right? For common base, it is non-inverting amplifier completely. For common collector, input and output are in phase. So remember it guys. So this is your answer, common emitter. Identify the transfer circuit which acts as a phase inverter. So common emitter acts as a phase inverter, right? So next question, this is the last question of this video. Intrinsic semiconductor are those which have more electrons than holes, have zero energy gap, are made of semiconductor material in its present form, and none of the above. So here the correct answer is 3, are made of a semiconductor material in its present form. So basically intrinsic semiconductors are basically pure semiconductors, as we have seen earlier. The extrinsic semiconductors are conductors in semiconductors in which impurity is added. So that's what it is asking. Intrinsic semiconductors are made up of semiconductor material in its present form, right? So thank you guys for listening to me, and please subscribe to my channel Make RTO. Thank you.